BodyBags, where horror lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, your Wednesday night reviewer for BodyBags, and it is week 301, fresh off our OG week, and what a week it was. Having the old guys come back and do a review of some original films, and so that we could follow up this week with the remakes. And Matt from You and Your Horror Movies did It's Alive, the original, from the 70s, 74 I think, re-released in 76 if I'm right. A Larry Cohen film, was remade in 09. And as a remake, it's something that I have stayed away from. I have not watched it until now. And have to, excuse me, I'm a little out of breath. Fresh off of Godzilla King of Monsters. If you have not seen it, you've got to see it. But anyways, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about a remake, and one that I've avoided till now. And you know what? Let me just say this. This movie is not as bad as I thought it would be. Here is the FirstLook studio DVD release. My first Bull Moose purchase. And yeah, I got it. Because I need to watch things a few times if I can. And there was no other way for me to watch this. So I went ahead and just made the purchase, hoping for the best. And quite frankly, I really wasn't that disappointed. It is a Josef Rusnak film. He's best known for The 13th Floor back in 1999. I say back as if that was really, excuse me, a long time ago. But Bijou Phillips leads the cast as the mom, and James Murray as the dad, and Raphaël Coleman as the son. Or, I'm sorry, in this case, I believe he's the Frank's brother. It's Lenore, Frank, Chris. In the original, that was the family unit. In this case, mom is a graduate student, doesn't quite finish up her studies because of the pregnancies and the coming delivery. She decides just to step back away. Frank is an architect in this film, and I believe, if I got it right, Chris is his brother. Parents, something happened, I think they're out of the picture. And so really what you have here is a very similar setup to the original. Mutant baby run amok. Not near as good as the original, but hey, call me the great apologist. Not that I'm going to really apologize for the negatives of the film as much, but I do lean into the positives, and there are some here. But let me just get them out of the way real quick. Well, negatives. Inconsistency, not very coherent in terms of the writing process reaching the screen. I know Larry Cohen had a part in the screenplay, but he just had a part in that and was not producer or anything like that, and I know he was not too impressed with the final product. So there is a disconnect between the director and Larry Cohen in terms of what originally perhaps was written and what eventually ends up on screen. And so a lot of incoherency in terms of how the narrative or the story unfolds from start to finish. Some things just don't make sense. Quite frankly, a lot of things don't make sense. But underneath all of that, it did have a few things going for it, and it's too bad these things weren't capitalized on to the max. Instead, unlike the original where the event unfolds in the operating room, and then from there on, the family sort of ostracized by the public media outlets or whatever. All the focus is on them for how dare they to, have produced this monstrosity that's now killing at large as it's making its way from the hospital back home. In this case, in this film, this baby has a means of either camouflaging or just hiding its unique characteristics. So what you have here after the bloodbath in the beginning, what you have here is a family that's distraught, being somewhat outsiders looking in, not knowing, as with everyone else, what took place in the delivery room, which seems weird. There's no cameras or anything like that, but maybe there's not, I don't know. But they're allowed to go home as a family unit, and really, that's it. Where the stress comes in is once they're home. And once they're home, they're sort of isolated. They're sort of way out. Now, we're led to believe that this film takes place in New Mexico, but as it unfolds very early on, excuse me, like Matt last week, I seem to have an issue here with my cough. But Matt did just everyone did an awesome job last week. But anyways. Yeah, we're led to believe this film takes place in New Mexico, but when you start seeing the scenery, it really resembles perhaps Oregon or the Northwest. But really, this film was shot on location or not on location. I guess that's I don't know. It was shot in Bulgaria. So when you see the outside of the house, it's pretty impressive in terms of giving some atmosphere and just the isolation. And as the film sort of unfolds, you have really what you're supposed to have is a mother coming to terms very quickly. Something's wrong with her baby. And as things begin to escalate and happen in the house, racing towards its climax, what you really had here is an opportunity unfortunately missed. It could have been very different from the original. It could have been very good. It could have been memorable. I mean, there's a scene involving Chris, who in this film, Chris is in a wheelchair, which they did not capitalize on enough. I thought there was opportunity to really do some interesting things with that, and they just totally didn't. It's kind of like the running theme throughout this film. It's missed opportunity, where there's a scene where he's swimming out in their swimming pool, and you quite never really realize if it's supposed to be cold outside, warm outside. One minute the swimming pool's covered, the next minute he's swimming in it. So it's tough to say really what the thought process was. But there's a scene involving Chris swimming by himself. I think it's at night, if I remember right. And I thought, man, how awesome would it be to see this baby, or not see the baby, but know something happens in the pool, something terrifying, something that really either, not that it perhaps injures Chris, but definitely terrifies him and thus perhaps terrorizing us. A lot of missed opportunities. The synopsis on the back of the box leads us to believe the question is the baby responsible? And unfortunately, that was something that could have been capitalized on in the film, but never was. And it really could have been a slow burn effect, where over the course, even though as a viewer we sort of know what's going on already, we're familiar with the original, but it could have delivered a different take, a different angle, that we could have really kind of just enjoyed the ride with the family as things just completely fall apart. There's just aspects of this film that just don't make sense. And but I would say, as far as remakes goes, it's not, I don't think it's the worst. It's definitely not the best. We're not talking about the Invasion of the Body Snatchers 76 version or The Fly or anything like that. But we are talking about a film that had some good things working for it. And one of the things that unfortunately is a distraction is the house they live in looks a lot like the Alamo. And maybe that's to sell the point that the movie is taking place in New Mexico. And Frank is an architect, therefore maybe he has a thing for the Alamo. But seeing a house look like the Alamo and seeing the wood line, the forest in the background, and just the feel of it, the two things just kind of crash against each other. It just doesn't work, as with a few things in this film. And as you go along, it is easy, if you allow it, to kind of work on you in a weird way. I mean, you really got to let it. You can't fight it. You just got to just suspend your belief here in a lot of things and just let it go its own way. And that's what I did. I watched it a few times, and it's actually grown on me in a weird way. I mean, it's something I'm not going to pop in every 5 minutes or something to watch. But it's just not as bad as I thought it would be. And it's got a lot of, just missed opportunities, I guess. Oh, and the subtext. The first one, and it runs through the trilogy, has a great subtext going. It's a reflection of its times, where this film seems to take that subtext, turn it on its head, but then they don't do anything with it, really, except for a flashback that comes at a kind of an awkward moment, and you kind of see what motivated the girl to do a particular thing that we're sort of given a sense that results in the baby's mutations. But they don't really do anything with it. Not like the original, where they took that concept and they ran with it. Not just by one movie, but a trilogy. And it just wasn't the same in this one. And it's unfortunate. But the mom, her handling, this could have been a performance that really could have carried this film, and hers quite just doesn't. In fact, I would say James Murray is a little bit better in this film, and Chris isn't too bad as the son. But it's not the worst thing in the world. And so if there's an opportunity, you can get your hands on it free of charge, take a look, see. You may feel the same, and then again you may not. But I would definitely say don't rush out and buy this thing. But if you can see it for free, why not? So anyway, so there's the remake. I don't know, 5.5 maybe out of 10. I almost want to go to a 6 just because of what it could have been, but maybe I won't. But definitely it's not the worst thing in the world. So, hey, you got nothing better else to do, find a way to watch it and check it out for yourself. But if you haven't gotten your hands on that original box set that Scream Factory put out, the original trilogy, that is something you ought to have. You ought to check those films out if you haven't. So, It's Alive, remake, 09. And of course, I'm Rob from Georgia, and VHS82 apostrophe. And as always, we always end these things off with, Go Bill.